for pre-need, funerals, burials, or cremation since 1975. Curtis & Son Funeral Home, Sylacauga, Childersburg. In obituary news this morning, graveside service for Ms. Viola Garrett will be held Saturday at 1 o'clock from Kingston Church Cemetery in Alpine. Sims Funeral Service directing. Ms. Sue Sasser died at her residence in Childersburg last night. Curtis & Son Funeral Home will announce the arrangements. Mr. Willie Joyner died at UAB Medical Center on Tuesday. Curtis & Son Funeral Home announcing. Funeral service for Ms. Norma Spates will be 2 o'clock today at Vincent Revival Center, with burial in the Harpersville City Cemetery. Online condolences at curtisondsonfh.com. Curtis & Son Funeral Home, North Chapel, directing. Doyle Vincent Joyner died at his residence on February 9th after a long fight with Parkinson's disease and other age-related illnesses. A visitation is planned for Saturday, February 13th at 1 o'clock at Ursery Funeral Home. A chapel service to follow at 2. The Reverend Jerry Colquitt will officiate. Interment in the Pine Hill Cemetery. Online condolences at urseryfuneralhome.com. Ursery Funeral Home, Talladega, directing that service. Martha Gail Joyner died at her home, surrounded by her family, on Thursday, February 4th. Visitation on Saturday at 1 o'clock from Ursery Funeral Home, with chapel service to follow at 2, with the Reverend Jerry Colquitt officiating. Interment in the Pine Hill Memorial Cemetery. And memorials can be made to the Bemiston Baptist Church, 300 James Street in Talladega. Or you can send your donation in lieu of flowers to the Kappa Kappa scholarship, state scholarship, payable to Brenda in Talladega, and Brenda Fryer in Talladega, 5 Pine Forest Drive. That's 5 Pine Forest Drive in Deatsville, Alabama, 36022. Ursery Funeral Home directing. Christine Showshire of Talladega died February the 8th at the age of 97 years old. Visitation will be today from 1 until 3 o'clock at Talladega Funeral Home in the chapel there. The service will be at 3 with Brother Rusty Stevens officiating. In lieu of flowers, the family has asked donation be made to the Ironton Church of Christ Building Fund, Talladega Funeral Home directing. Mr. Frank Ray Miller, Jr., age 86, died at his residence in Pell City on Saturday. Funeral service will be held Friday at First Baptist Church in Pell City at 11 o'clock with the Reverend A.L. Courtney and the Reverend John Threet officiating. The family will receive friends at the church beginning at 10:30 on Friday. In lieu of flowers, donation can be made to the Jacksonville State University School of Business and Industry or the charity of your choice. Those attending are reminded to follow the governor's current orders requiring masking and social distancing. Memories and expressions of sympathy may be shared with the family at KilgoreFH.com. Kilgore Funeral Home in Pell City directing. Graveside service for Mr. Willie T. Williams is 11 o'clock today at Talladega Memorial Garden. Sims Funeral Service directing. Graveside service for Terry Lynn Courtner, age 65, will be Friday at Rockford Cemetery at 2 o'clock with Wendell Jensen officiating. Mrs. Courtner died Sunday, February the 7th at her residence. She was a graduate of Brigham Young University and Auburn University in Montgomery. Radney Smith Funeral Home in Sylacauga directing. Ms. Courtner was a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Funeral service for Mr. Bobby Allen Smith, age 83, of Alexander City, will be Friday at 1 o'clock from the chapel of Radney Funeral Home. Randy Anderson officiating. Burial in the Hillview Memorial Park. The family receiving friends Friday 11 till 12:30 at the funeral home. Mr. Smith died Monday, February the 8th at his residence. And Radney Funeral Home, Alexander City, in charge of the arrangements. Mr. Smith was a member of the Rocky Creek Baptist Church. Funeral service for Mr. Luther Tolbert Sr., who passed away Monday, February the 8th, Northeast Georgia Medical Center in Gainesville, Georgia. That service Friday at 11 a.m. from Great Bethel Baptist Church in Alexander City. Visitation tomorrow, Thursday, from 4 until 7 at the funeral home, Armour's Memorial Funeral Home, directing. Mr. Terrence Stovall of Alexander City died Tuesday, February 9th at UAB in Birmingham. Funeral arrangements entrusted to Armour's Memorial Funeral Home. Funeral service for Michael Dean Robinson, age 69, will be Thursday at 2 o'clock from the Chapel of Radley Smith Funeral Home, with Brother Tim Wilson officiating. Mr. Robinson died Saturday, February 6th at his residence. He was a veteran of the military, the Marine Corps, and later joined the National Guard. Visitation will be tonight, 5 till 7 o'clock at the funeral home. In lieu of flowers, contribution may be sent to the family. Memorial messages can be sent to the family at radleysmith.com, Radley Smith Funeral Home, Sylacauga, directing. Celebration of life for Mr. John S. Duncan, age 52 of Talladega, will be today at 1 p.m. from Pine Hill Cemetery, with the Reverend Robert Duncan officiating. S.M. Goodson Funeral Home and Crematory, Talladega, in charge of the arrangements. This obituary report this morning brought to you by Courteous & Son Funeral Home, the North Chapel on Highway 21 in Sylacauga, and the Childersburg Chapel on Highway 280 in Childersburg. One other obituary note this morning: Joyce A. Ruff, age 66 of Sylacauga, died February 9th at Coosa Valley Medical Center. Funeral arrangements are pending. They'll be announced by Community Funeral Home in Sylacauga.